Tim Burchett is saying aliens could turn us into charcoal briquettes and that the UFO cover-up has been going on since 1890. What? Okay, we've got to talk about this. Get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like, please subscribe, share on social media, and let me know what you think in the comments below. Oh, and I've got an assist from Baxter, so everybody give him an extra thumbs up. Okay, this is from the Daily Mail. Congressman on Intelligence Committee says aliens have the technology to turn humans into charcoal briquettes, and government has been covering up UFO existence since 1890. What? Tim Burchett believes there is no question the objects in the skies are not of this earth and have abilities to fly underwater and never leave behind heat trails. Burchett, who is on the House Oversight Committee overseeing UFO hearings, has been shown classified footage not yet released to the public. And of course, I reported a couple of days ago on another UFO news roundup that Representative Burchett is pushing for these videos to get released. And I am so excited about that. I really hope that comes to pass, but we will see. The congressman told Event Horizon this week that we've been dealing with government cover-up since 1947, probably since about 1897, and what was the Aurora, Texas UFO crash. And it's interesting that that goes very well with what I have reported on before from the best evidence that I've seen. The cover-up began in the late 1800s, early 1900s, somewhere in there. There was the UFO crash in New England that I've talked about before. It wasn't called a UFO. I think it was an exotic airship or something is what they called it. And then the very next day, the local newspaper retracted that story. So that seems to be the first evidence of the real cover-up that I can find, and that was like 1907. I've never been 100% sure about the Aurora crash, but this is also the same time period where all the giant bones went missing. People were finding these giant bones all over for years. There were articles in the New York Times about it. And all of a sudden, they vanished. And a lot of these bones had been sent to the Smithsonian. And some of them weren't even bones. Some of them were full-on mummified remains. And they all went missing or were labeled as hoaxes. Well, you know, one of the incidents that was labeled as a hoax, they said it was made out of gelatin. This is clearly BS. There are pictures of this thing. Gelatin is used to fill in gaps on, large skeletal remains that cannot create a huge 10-foot tall mummified giant. So the Smithsonian has been covering this up, and the government has been, covering this up since around that time period. So this dovetails very well with my own information. So I thought that was really interesting. He goes on to say the extraterrestrial craft, can travel light years or at these speeds that we've seen defy physics as we know it. They can fly underwater and don't show a heat trail. Yeah, the underwater stuff is really intriguing and seems a huge part of the activity of the ET presence or the non-human presence here on the planet. Do they live in the water? Are they coming and going from the water, from subterranean caverns and just using the water as a medium? Are they actually getting something from the water itself? Because there are multiple accounts of UFOs sucking up water and then sometimes, letting the water back out. So they do seem to there's some interaction between UFOs and the water that goes beyond simply flying through it. So, very interesting. He continued to explain that if these otherworldly beings have technology, unlike anything we know on Earth, then they could turn us into a charcoal briquette. Indeed, they could. We are out of our league, the congressman continued. We couldn't fight them off if we wanted to. That's why I don't think they're a threat to us, or they would already have. Yeah, I agree. They are not overtly trying to destroy us. apparently, unless it's a very slow burn operation. And, I can make arguments for that. But generally, it seems like they don't simply want to wipe us out. They are creating hybrids, and the hybrids are coming amongst us. So does that mean, is this a takeover, a slow takeover? They don't want to wipe us out. They want to take us over. Or is it, as the contactee that I did a piece on a few days ago, who says the hybrids are going to be openly walking among us as ambassadors of the ETs by the year 2050? This is a different timeline than a lot of the other timelines, but you can make a case where it goes with it very well that we'll have some sort of open contact in the next few years, the next decade, and leading up to ETs walking around and hybrids walking around by 2050. But in any case, it does not seem like they want to simply wipe us out. They want us alive, which is encouraging. On the other hand, they might also see us as a resource, which is also what some of the evidence suggests with the constant abductions and, getting our genetic material and doing other experiments on us. There are multiple races doing this. There are the bad ones, according to some of the lore, the rogue grays or what have you. And the reason they're bad is because they're abducting people without permission. The idea is that there are soul agreements and soul contracts that people have entered before they come into this world, and that they have signed up for this abduction program because they are trying to assist whatever this larger program is. If it's leading us into, the fifth dimension and all that kind of stuff, or if it's, the slow evolution of humanity, which is what you get from some of the material as well, not just alien abductions, but near-death experiences also talk about this, and that's where some of the best information comes from. And this bigger picture type stuff is near-death experiences. People who have died, been to the other side, and come back. Well, sometimes when they go to the other side, they learn stuff about the beings. I mean, they'll see Jesus hanging out with some gray aliens. I mean, that is a thing that has happened in these near-death experiences. The ET presence or the non-human presence is inextricably linked with the more metaphysical stuff and spiritual consciousness, whatever you want to call it. And that seems to be a big part of why they may be here. And so, yeah. Okay, I'm trying not to get distracted, but these pop-ups, there's a lot of pop-ups. Some of them are fairly distracting. Burchett believes secrecy comes down to power, corruption, and money's influence. The statements appear to piggyback on those made by a Pentagon whistleblower who claimed this month that the U.S. has run a top-secret UFO retrieval program for decades, and some of the non-human intelligence discovered are malevolent and have even killed humans. Yeah, well, it has happened. It's a thing. Some of that seems to be defensive. Some of it does not seem to be defensive. And when I say defensive, it means, the military jets going to intercept these things, sometimes firing on them and being fired at in return. Sometimes they're not fired at in return. Sometimes they are actually displaced in space. And, they will suddenly pop out of existence and pop in miles away. But sometimes they are shot down. Sometimes when they are shot down, they are not killed, like in the Italy case where the UFOs were setting fires in Italy and a helicopter armed with anti-tank rounds was sent out to discourage them. And potentially those anti-tank rounds were actually of a concern to the UFOs because they shot that helicopter down, but they did not kill anybody. They just simply damaged its tail with a laser beam or something, and it went down without harming anyone. Why were they setting fires in Italy? What was that about? Why were UFOs setting fires? I would love an answer to that question. But in any case, it is an example of them firing defensively without killing anybody. There are other occasions, however, like the Colares Brazil case, where they do seem to have been engaging, malevolently, actually harming people without any provocation. So, that is something that needs to be addressed with the ETs when there is open dialogue with them. I just want to add here that I don't see the UFO phenomenon or the non-human phenomenon as monolithic. It seems to be composed of many different aspects and many different parts. And there are bad actors and there are good actors. And there are probably bad actors and good actors amongst the different races, within the individual races. There's probably going to be some good Nordics and some bad Nordics and some good Greys and some bad Greys, which is what you get in a lot of the lore. I mentioned earlier about the rogue Greys. Those are the Greys that are the unfriendly to humans, or at least very selfish in their motives. And some of the material suggests that they don't follow the law of one, but that other Greys have been brought into the faith of the law of one. And now they are more selfless as opposed to selfish. Again, we're going on information gleaned from experiencers, and some of this is, material from the beings themselves. It's not necessarily stuff you can trust, but it may give us a picture of what's going on here, and it does sort of confirm to some of the facts. The existence of complex historical programs involving the coordinated retrieval and study of exotic materials dating back to the early 20th century should no longer remain a secret. That is what David Grush said. Florida Senator Marco Rubio also revealed that he had been approached by several high-ranking government officials with top-level security clearances who said they had first-hand knowledge of UFO programs. Tim Burchett goes on to say, "We can handle it," talking about UFO disclosure. "Stop with the arrogance. Stop with the corruption. Let's get it all out there." Indeed, you tell him, Tim. You tell him, Tim. Well, we need this stuff out there. We need to know the truth. We need to know what the heck is going on. This has been going on for, I agree, probably over 100 years. The cover-up has been going on. God knows how long the beings have been here and interacting with us. They may have created us. They seem to be tweaking bloodlines over generations. I don't know how long that has been going on, how long the abduction phenomenon has been going on, but this is a very important. They are taking people. They are taking likely hundreds of millions of people. This is a massive effort on the part of the ETs or the non-humans. I don't want to ascribe a location to these guys. Some of these guys seem to be coming from really, really far out there. Not just another planet, but another dimension or something. So, like I said, ETs hanging out with Jesus. So, that's what some of the near-death experiencers say, and a lot of them do report on ET contact. And I might actually start covering some of that. Next time I run across a near-death experiencer who has ET contact or some insight into the ET phenomenon, I might report on that, because I think that is important and does give us a bigger picture into some of this stuff. And like I said earlier, some of them report on these soul agreements. When they enter into this life, they have agreed to these abductions. And those are the good abductors who are only abducting people who have signed up for it. It is the bad abductors, the rogue Greys, who do not ascribe to the law of one, according to some material, who are the bad guys because they didn't ask for permission. But multiple races are doing it with permission, apparently. So even the good guys are abducting us. So are we a resource? Is that what's going on? That sounds diabolical. Or are they here to upgrade us or help us in some way? Because that also fits the facts at hand. There are so many possibilities and so many unanswered questions we really need to get addressed. Let me know what you think, guys, in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. I sure would appreciate it. Smash the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. I would love to see you guys there. And if you could share this video on social media, that'd be super helpful. There's plenty of other videos to check out on the channel. And until next time, this is Jack with Cosmic Road signing out.